Welcome to the manual. I'm Dan Gall, and today's guest is Daniel Livshitz, founder of the intriguing Daniel Ashley Company. But before we dive in, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and sign up for notifications. All right, let's do this. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hey there, Dan. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for welcoming me to the manual.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to dive in. First off, what is Daniel Ashley Company and what's behind the name? Because obviously your first name's Daniel and you have Daniel in the name, but Ashley as well. So can you let us know what that means?
Absolutely. So the origin of the name actually comes from similar to Ralph Lauren, when you see that there was a young, aspiring, essentially fashioneer with the name Ralph Lipschitz. He had a goal for how does he make his name in this world of fashion. Well, we probably wouldn't find the Ralph Lipschitz polos in quite the same ultra luxury section that we would see the modern Ralph Lauren. And he actually had a wonderful, inspiring partner who he helped be motivated by and begin the initial of his company with. And so, very similarly, one of my co-founders, Katie Ashley, is a fellow co-founder of what became Daniel Ashley Co., in addition to one of my fellow college peers as well, bringing together the co in Daniel Ashley Co.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense then. How many people founded this company?
So we started the company with three co-founders, with a fourth closely joining, as almost we could say, between a co-founder and our first hire. It has since then grown dramatically to have quite a few artisans, individual partner, what we call royal partners, and a network of individuals that help bring together each production and series from across the US, UK, France, Italy, Japan, and expanding.
So I think what I'm hearing is you also have like collaborators that are working with your brand. Do they actually have like ownership, or are you just working with them to bring new product into? I want to hint into a little bit, but membership, right?
Absolutely. So these are not owners of the brand as much as they are partners for individual releases. We try to, with every single production, with each collection that we take on, truly find who are the multi-generational artisans, the experts in each individual craft that we could bring together to make this international symposium of artisans that truly come together to make a world record-breaking production.
Okay, so what is the vision of Daniel Ashley Company then, or Co? What are you striving to achieve? Obviously, with collections and so forth. You've mentioned Ralph Lauren. Can you dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Daniel Ashley Co. is a members only bespoke lifestyle and fashion house that exclusively produces curated record breaking experiences. Within the world of Daniel Ashley Co., we have these three subsidiaries. We have Daniel Ashley Co. Apparel, which is almost our concept car division, which solely focuses on bringing together record breaking productions in the world of fashion and artistry that essentially reinvent fundamental staples from menswear, homeswear, beyond, and bring them to the highest level of bespoke tailoring. We also have the Daniel Ashley Co. Textiles, which began as almost our R&D department to create the future fibers of ultra luxury fashion, and our Daniel Ashley Co. Lifestyle division, which focuses on adjacent collaborations, which allow our members and reciprocal members of other members only houses, whether they be social clubs, fashion houses, country clubs, etc., to be able to experience these otherwise ungettable curations, whether they be in the world of cognac, fine fibers, caviar, overall curated plates. They're experiences never before had and brought together.
So this sounds super unique. Like I have all these things going in my head. Like you're talking, you have three different areas. Textiles is really interesting that it's not just fashion, you're going into textiles. I have a question around that. I'll just ask it now, which is like, are you looking to create like a method of others to use your textiles into their own creations? And like sell them, or are you looking more of textiles of like gathering them for your own collections?
So, you hit it perfectly with that question because it's two-pronged and the answer is almost yes to both. What started and, when we began Daniel Ashley Co., which was what you could say is Daniel Ashley Co. apparel now, the goal was to take the rarest, finest, and most sustainable fabrics in the world and produce bespoke pieces that don't just rival productions that are accessible in other places in the world. If you want a bespoke suit, go to Savile Row, go to New York, go to Florence, experience the artistry and multi-generational talent of these artisans that have developed a methodology for crafting this specific item. But what we have been focusing on is how do we take garments that have almost been left behind in the pinnacle of luxury escalation process, and how do we merge it so it's not just fashion, but it actually becomes artistry and a part of lifestyle. So we invest in each production as much into the raw materials for the marble box, the bronze statue, the gift of luxury for series one. They are actually these gold vicuña cufflinks that come alongside the actual series one production. So the whole purpose of Daniel Ashko is to create and bring together what has never been constructed. And obviously, as a result of that, when you're using textiles, you are bound by the limits that other textile producers are essentially hitting. What is the wall of fineness, of exclusivity, of sustainability that some of the best fabric producers in the world are able to get to? And that's where we had the idea, well, if we're already becoming experts in using the finest fibers, and so much of our team actually comes from originally a technical background, we started addressing the question, well, how do we actually source, produce, and then distribute the finest fibers in the world? And that's where Daniel Ashko Textiles creates special edition pieces for the use of Daniel Ashko apparel, but also allows a small number of royal partner tailors to be able to use those fabrics in bespoke suiting productions, additional kinds of bespoke wear that is beyond what we would consider our record-breaking ability for an in-house production.
And so, like, if I was to go to one of these royal tailors, where would I find one? Like, is this like where if I have somebody like in Paris, France, and they're representing like we have textiles from Daniel Ashley Company, is that something you want your suit made out of? And then what is the process of that? Is it like they're coming to you and you're making it with them, or are you using them as a resource for tailoring?
Absolutely. So wonderful question. Similar to how Dan Rashko Apparel is members only, in a similar light, even though our collaborations for Dan Rashko Textile would be B2B, we also want those memberships and those that we work with to be equally, if not more, exclusive. So
Okay.
we have, in the process of expanding our B2B division, been attending a larger number of industry relevant dinners where some of the most exclusive tailors from around the world come together to discuss the future of bespoke fashion. And in those dinners, we're able to select, okay, these are the individuals that already have experience with Super 200s, with Vicuña, with crafting ultra fine, ultra delicate, nearly record breaking productions in their own right. And they're interested in pushing their brand to the limits of bespoke fashion. That's where we're able to say, okay, I think there's a synergy of values. Let's discuss whether it will be a already existing Daniel Ashley Co. textile production or a special edition blend, something that will be exclusive to their location. So regardless if a tailor will be able to carry our textiles, that means they have been selected as one of the preeminent and foremost global bespoke tailors, ones that don't focus on just, oh, here's a super 100 or even 120 or 130, but they are, as we call, part of our super 200 club.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the experience, the third part of the business, right? Which is, uh, well, it's a piece of it, right?
Yeah, the goal is very much to have this horizontally and vertically connected series of networks and subsidiaries that if you are going to work with someone, ideally they share the same values as you. They are meeting, if not surpassing, the quality standard that you need. And if you're going to be working with someone, you might as well be yourself. These might as well be independent subsidiaries that take care of the production, the process, the manufacturing, the quality control. And by establishing this mandate for what it means to be a Daniel Ashley Co. brand, we've been able to then expand that and be able to be self-reliant in creating those needs, those textiles. And so the lifestyle division pairs into and feeds from where it requires gifts of luxury for its events. It could charter or source any fabric from Daniel Ashley Co. Textiles that it will then use, and it could borrow tailors or individual partners that Dan Rashko Apparel has worked with in the past to produce these specific gifts of luxury. One of these that we are currently in discussions for is the world's finest pocket square, which will be available exclusively at one of our upcoming dinners.
So that's super interesting there. I want to learn more about that if you can share. But what inspired you to start the company? Because it sounds so unique and what I would call ultra luxury, worlds. When you say things and use words like world's most luxurious pocket square, how did you decide to do something like this?
It's a wonderful question. It's quite a departure from the typical path of a material scientist and then mathematician. So the actual process behind it came with with the line of logic and a few questions, some would say insidious questions that ended up building this whole rabbit hole that, spiraled into one of the most exciting journeys I've ever been able to be a part of. But, it really started like this back when I was a material scientist, and I've always had a passion/personal interest for the world of bespoke suiting, but also where else does it go? Because I remember, very distinctly once upon a time learning about cashmere sweatpants and learning about these ultra fine super merino t-shirts made by Loro Piana and made by Zegna. So understanding, wow, there is these almost like adjacent spaces. There is your classic New York, or you could say a London look of a tailored bespoke suit. And these are made with various fabrics by some of these very legacy, whether it be Scabal, Dorme, Zegna themselves, Loro Piana, some of these traditional fabric producers, phenomenal, top of the class. Then there's also this world of now what they called understated ultra luxury, where you have the best fibers being used for ready to wear pieces that command multi-thousand-dollar price tags, in many cases even higher than that of a bespoke crafted item. And then separately, you see this push towards not only private dining, exclusive private clubs. People want their interests to now build their network, their net worth, their social lives. They're essentially this merge of interests capped off with this final push towards an item, especially a luxury item. Unfortunately, with so many of the brands and the way that products have been crafted and pushed out, the most exciting part of purchasing and owning an ultra luxury item is actually after you purchase it and before it arrives. When you have imbued it with all of your hopes and dreams and views about what it may be, oh my gosh, you're getting it. And then it arrives and it's just an item. Right. And worse off, it's something that's mass manufactured, perhaps. And even when it's limited production, maybe you come down to, oh, well, the scales or the actual derivation of what it's composed of. But the experience ends there. And you see when you read the McKinsey reports on the state of ultra luxury, when you read Business of Fashion, when you're actually looking under the hood, you have a larger and larger audience growing for these luxury and ultra luxury consumers. And some of these, a majority of them start at this ultra high net worth, 30 million and above net worth level. And these individuals who go on their boats and their planes and live life at this, grandest of levels, they expect a different level of service, of quality, of transparency in the production. That's what actually pays for and allows for sustainability and ethical practices to be employed all the way down the sourcing and vertical creation process. So actually meeting the needs of this company, it's very hard to, if not truly impossible without sacrifice, to meet the perception of luxury, which is actually essentially upcharged regular goods that have effective branding. Because so much of the luxury space, I wouldn't say ultra luxury, but luxury space is saying, hey, this is a great product. Why? Because it's shown as great. We have the right affiliation, it has the right co-branding, it has the signaling, which is one element of a luxury product. But for us, we really bring our four values together of luxury, artistry, exclusivity, and sustainability. And because all of the founders are scientists, we actually mean it. When we enter this claim, when we say we are going to make world record breaking productions exclusively, what that means is now there's a multi-year hunt for finding who are the actual artisans that are at the top of their field, whether it be the bespoke crafters, where when you look at who is crafting Series 1, we actually went to Italy, to not just Milan, but outside of Milan in Bergamo, where there is a bespoke multi-generational accessory tailor who has not only done work for the previous president of France, but currently for the Dutch royal family, who has created productions for multiple royal decrees, and he has a private line to Bergdorf Goodman with his accessories. And so when you travel to Las Vegas, when you travel to Bergdorf, many locations with their ultra exclusive lines, you'll see some of his productions there. Similarly, the marble makers that we work with to craft this Series 1 display case, they are in Carrara, Italy, and actually own a section of the Carrara Mountain where they have their quarry. And so we have this kind of funny ongoing joke. What is the connection between Michelangelo's David and black tie boxers? It's Daniel Ashley Co. Because our boxers are actually housed within the marble box crafted from Michelangelo's David itself.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, long-winded way of answering, but it was really this journey of seeing that there was this growing convergence of interests, of values, of these creations, and there wasn't yet the exact right culmination that met all of these needs. And now we're starting to see it. There's actually this growing space, and we're seeing what we love is actually competitors to help define this new kind of future of ultra luxury.
Forgive me, like as you tell this story of, inspiration, it reminds me, and I'm gonna throw out there like Hermes, right? Like, or somebody, a fashion company who has been around for hundreds of years. Beginnings were like, creating, items for the royal family, right? Like
Yes.
in France. If you think about the evolution of our society, that artistry has kind of, I feel like, waned, or maybe it hasn't. Maybe that you continue to have these people that are experts in their craftsmanship, but because the world has grown, that they are less known, maybe. And instead, what you're doing is kind of digging them out and reintroducing them to a new audience. Is that correct?
That's exactly it. We are honoring the history and the legacy of this level of craftsmanship, but we're also bringing together the essentially new tools of the world, which is to be able to bring together this international symposium. These people that, because of geography, because of distance, because of culture, because of tradition, they've been working on separate projects, separate fields within an overlapping space. And we are actually providing this platform to combine all of these individual artisans to create a truly record-breaking production. And so our Series 1 ensemble, we continue to call it Series 1 because it is not a work of bespoke fashion. That happens to be the medium that it takes, but in the same way that a Michelin star dinner is not intended to just make you full. Sure, it has food, but and presentation and atmosphere is simply the medium for which this artistic message and this exploration throughout culture, ingredients, history, the style and message of the chef gets relayed. In a similar way, our Series 1 production, each owner gets a coffee table book on the history and making of Series 1, with the first page being greeted that luxury fashion is timeless art. But it is actually this page, which goes through the history. It is a full timeline page, which goes through every single component that goes into Series 1, beginning in 1438 with the actual vicuña that is collected in Peru by the Peruvian government, which is its national animal, the vicuña. And we even have the Vicuña Peru label to show that it is 100% certified, watched over, authenticated by the Peruvian government. From there, the next oldest component, there has been one family since 1582 that all they make is gold thread. They are in Italy, and this is their exclusive product. This is what they have focused on and created. And so, working with these artisans that for now 470, 480 years, this is what they have focused on and relayed, refined, made their expertise. this is the future of ultra luxury, right? Bringing together the finest fibers, the finest families, going from 1438 to 1582 to 1733 with the establishment of our fiber producer themselves, to 1935 when our jewelry maker, the one behind the cufflinks, began with his grandfather began crafting royal decree essentially garments and pendants and accessories to, of course, our garment maker himself in Bergamo, and to the Carrara, essentially where the marble's made. It is exactly as you say, bringing individuals who are experts of their niche together for a record-breaking production.
Yeah, and a story behind it, right? Which everybody loves a story, especially when you are going back to like luxury items, which basically have great branding and maybe like a celebrity or somebody that helps marketing, etc. But when you get it, like that's where the journey ends, right? There's not a story behind it. Where it sounds like what you're doing is you're not only crafting amazing items and apparel, luxury goods, but you're providing a story behind it. So it allows people to have conversations around it, right? And be able to showcase, obviously, within how they want to showcase it, whether it's in their home, maybe on their plane or boat or something like that. But it sounds like a really interesting concept to do it this way. It's kind of all encompassing.
That's really the point. Exactly. You could say that the main part, the individual component for the series one is, of course, your bespoke, crafted world's finest boxers. But with the cufflinks that allow you to almost juxtapose the most intimate and personal pair of apparel with one of this kind of more outgoing and public pieces, your French cuff shirt, to your actual now coffee table, which could have your display case, even to being able to check magazines such as Rob Report Italia and be able to buy page 3, see our full spread and debut. You can also, oh, there's that with, of course, you can see our debut there. You can also, of course, open DuPont Registry, open this year's best of the best. And in addition, it's funny because it is a bespoke product and there is this multi-stage process. When you first become a Series 1 owner, when we take your initial measurements, that's when you get your initial kind of gift of luxury that includes the coffee table book, that includes the cufflinks. As we iterate and create these versions of your production till we get down to your final sizing, your preferences. Once we get the garment crafted perfectly, that's when we finish and almost create this final version out of vicuña with the gold buttons, with the gold thread. That is then put within the marble box, which is shipped within a much larger, essentially, you could call it a hard shell travel case. Once that arrives, it's still not the end because for this year, Series 1 owners, very similar to how we view them, you don't just buy Series 1. You don't just have this garment. No, you are an owner of Series 1. And to adjacent that with kind of the greater experience, we are a partner with F1 and RR1 this coming November. So we will be in Las Vegas, and actually our 10 Series 1 owners will have 10 VIP tickets that allow them to come and experience this world of F1 in Las Vegas with us.
Oh, that's really awesome. I might see you down at F1 Vegas as well then. It'd be kind of
Wow.
cool to connect up there. So that leads me into the membership program itself. So you just mentioned 10 tickets to F1. I've noticed that you have 10 versions, or not versions, but 10 pieces of like the Vicuña boxers, which we can get into as well. So that means Series 1, there is just 10 of, correct?
Just 10.
So to get this, you have to be a member of Daniel Ashley. Is that correct?
Absolutely. All of our productions are exclusively available to members of Daniel Ashley Co.
So how do you become a member? Like what? The other thing I understand is you have to apply, right? So what? Give me the rundown on membership. Like what is it?
Absolutely. And unlike many current forms of, when you call them country clubs, dining clubs, social clubs, rather than having a prohibitive, essentially, you could call it entry fee, initiation fee, whatnot, we are much more interested in bringing together a collective of the most refined connoisseurs from around the globe. we are interested in essentially learning about what are our potential applicants' experience in the world of bespoke suiting, what are their adjacent hobbies and interests, whether they are Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurs, traditional venture capitalists or bankers, whether they come from this world or that. We are interested in bringing in an amalgamation of incredible people that strive and seek the pursuit of luxury, the absolute pinnacle of creation. So, this interview process begins with applicants that are exposed and learn about Daniel Ashley Cohen. We're excited to have this interview, but one of the things that we've been very particular about is actually our releases in the first place. We do our very best to be minimal on social media. We only do very targeted debuts or physical events, whether they be at private social clubs, in collaborations with some of the best, whether they be garment makers, fabric producers, or as we'll discuss, some of our upcoming collaborations. We want already, you could call this pre-screened group to be able to learn about Daniel Ashiko. And then from there, when they apply, we actually have a one-on-one process where a member of our team, even potentially me, meet with some of our clients to gain a profile, get an understanding of their experience. Because with each one of our productions being, as we say, a concept car, a true innovation and breakthrough in the world of bespoke fashion, we want to ensure that its owners treat this garment and the creation process with the same respect. And it's not just something that they're excited for. It is a legacy achievement. The day their company IPOs, when they are meeting with David Solomon or David Solomon himself, or when, an individual has the most important conversation of their life. What are they wearing that not a king, not a president, not a prime minister in the history of the planet has owned before? That is what Daniel Ashley Co. allows that individual to succeed in. And so that's what we screen for.
Okay, so it's kind of like, when you're signing that most important document, like selling your business or an IPO, you want that amazing pen to do it with, right? What you're striving for is like, again, I'm just going to interpret this the way I'm hearing it from you is this is so exclusive and so premium that when you're like having that life moment, you want people to think, I have these like Series 1 cufflinks on, or I have the Vicuña boxers on because I want to feel the best, or I want to kind of like in my head know that I am wearing what the experience should be in my memory, right?
That's exactly it. To commemorate the experience, the achievement, we are a big fan of our members actually pairing some very particular significant event, accomplishment, upcoming creation to the actual purchase and creation of, far beyond Series 1, but being able to be a part of our, upcoming Series 2, Series 3, our collaborations, our lifestyle events. Each and every one of these should not be, just a casual outing, but an item, an event, an experience that affirms to them the height of this accomplishment, of what they have worked for, right? And that's why we're interested not just in individuals who have the best things in the world, but those that actively work to maintain, to create, to preserve, to accelerate. We are the creators brand. And for them exclusively, which is why we don't focus on a large amount of media and outreach, but instead on actual attention and customer experience.
It's respecting the amount of work that goes into not only what I'm trying to achieve in my life, but also the respecting the amount of work and skill put into crafting these items, right? And the history behind it, right? So totally get it. That to me also means extreme difficulty in finding that clientele to ensure that they are fitting your vision of who that customer is. Like, so what are like your biggest challenges and what have been your successes in running this company and launching it? And like how old is Daniel Ashley?
Absolutely. Daniel Ashko is 4 years old.
Okay.
So we are, in many regards, you could call it young, but the way that I also see it, Daniel Ashiko is not a tech company, it's a vineyard. What we are developing here is so dependent on the relationships, which are in many regards, the roots of the company. We are developing the methodology, the practice. How do you actually, create a methodology behind crafting record-breaking productions. Because, I keep going back to that term, but that is the mandate. It's not just marketing, because one of the things, unfortunately, that you learn in the luxury industry is so many people could say, oh, this is the best product. Continue to run that ad, and then eventually people will believe it if you say it enough. But that's not the essentially origin. That's not the world where any of my partners came from. Being scientists, we have a actually quantifiable mandate. To have something be the best in the world, everything down to its constituent components, the history, the craftsmanship, the quality control, the intention. It's funny, there's quotes, there's nothing more useless than optimizing something that shouldn't exist. And
Yeah.
I thought that was a great quote because it almost allows you to then have the reciprocal mandate. Everything that I have here must serve a purpose, and not just in its construction, but in the overall greater experience, the messaging, how this contributes to the experience. Because one could say that a bespoke garment and a coffee table book, what's the need? Between, bespoke boxers and gold vicuña cufflinks, what's the overlap? And when you're just creating a single, piece of bespoke fashion for that functional purpose, I would argue it's very much the same. What's the point? It doesn't serve any because that's not the experience that they're selling. But we're not creating fashion. We're creating experiences of history, legacy products, something that actually honors the fact that luxury fashion can become timeless art. And so that's the vision, that's the mandate, and that is what has kind of allowed us to focus on building so to your question of what is the kind of biggest challenges, what we're most proud of, I'd actually say being quiet, focusing on finding those artisans, being public, because 2024 is the first year that we have really gone public. And with it, we have been in DuPont, we've been Rob Report Italia, regular Rob Report, now Best of the Best. We're having these additional incredible interviews. And what this allows us to do is we have succeeded in our goal of actually creating a record-breaking ensemble. Now we have been able to secure partnerships, and we'll discuss it later, but coming out next year, we've partnered with this incredible sunglass maker, Leisure Society, where he has a whole the owner has been an industrial engineer, as an optics engineer, working for like 15, 20 years, starting his own company, selling that company, then crafting an actual ultra high-end sunglass brand that has these 12 to 15 layers. That's been successful for 15 years. They already are sold in Harrods, in Selfridges throughout the world. Their frames typically between 1,500 to 2,000, but we essentially can come together and make a $15,000 15 pair ensemble that upgrade every single component, every element. He has the expertise, he has the design, but what we are able to do is bring not only the display case, which comes in a marble box and a glass top and is engraved with the numbering and then filled with gold leaf, and then having it so that there's a 13 micron cleaning cloth, and having this upgrade display case, every last detail, a similar coffee table book on the history and making, and then having the actual presentation within Harrods. So focusing on these details, creating something that is at the pinnacle of luxury. This is, I'd say, been our proudest achievement. The fact that we were silent, waited to try to be as humble as possible to say, hey, we're not telling you that this is the best, we're showing you. Kind of show, not tell. If you need the proof, check out Best of the Best, come see us in F1. And since then, what we've been able to actually work with in terms of existing B2B brands to create the future of suit fibers, of Series 2, of Series 3 textiles, and beyond. The work has been able to speak for itself on the B2B, which trickles down to the B2C level.
So what my knowledge is around Daniel Ashley is Series 1. And that has multiple items in it. Like you mentioned, the marble box, the vicuña boxers, the gold thread in the vicuña boxers. Um, so but you just mentioned sunglasses, and Series 2 and Series 3. So I have so many questions around this. So I want to try to get these in. First off, what comes with Series 1? And if I want Series 1, can I still actually get in on Series 1? And that also ties. I'm going to throw in another question, which is you have 10 of Series 1,
Yes.
but you have a membership. So does that mean membership is limited to 10 people, or is it like, 20 people? Like if I'm one of 20, like do I have to like how do I get my hands on a series one kind of thing?
Absolutely. So it's a great question. So within the Series 1 ensemble, you have the bespoke pair of boxers, which come with our own solid 18 karat gold button and 24 karat gold thread. They come within the narrow Marquina marble box with a bronze statue of the Vicuña on top of it. On it, we'll have a bronze plaque that has your name and the number of the production because it's only out of 10. It's numbered 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10. They also come with the gold Vicuña cufflinks as well as the coffee table book on the history and making. So together, this is the ensemble. Series 2 will be the world's finest polo. Will be crafted out of actual Daniel Ashley Co. Textiles fabric that will include our own solid platinum buttons, platinum thread. Will come in a similar, but this time we're planning on doing a purple Calicotta marble box. Calicotta is itself one of the rarest and finest marbles in the world. When we actually traveled to Carrara, we were able to see its even more exclusive variant, purple Calicotta, which we're using, and we're having this almost burgundy and platinum theme for series 2, while we had a gold and black color theme for and gold camel and black color scheme for series 1. Series 2 is much more white, platinum, and burgundy. And then series 3 will be the world's finest home pants. And that will be constructed using fabric that will soon be announced with a very exciting collaboration with one of the most exclusive fiber makers in the world. That will come with a similar, essentially, upgrade option for a bespoke hat that is made out of the same fiber that comes and is constructed for Series 3. And so you'll be able to have this full, as we call, world's finest homeware, with Series 1 being the world's finest boxer, Series 2, the world's finest polo, Series 3 being the world's finest home pants. Those are essentially slacks to the outside that feel and fit much closer to what you would say like comfortable sweatpants or joggers for you.
Okay, so like amazing theme. I'm getting a theme here for these first three series. How long does it take for you to like what's the undertaking to start a series from ideation to now like you've completed series T2 and it's ready to be delivered?
Yeah. So it's funny. This is the year of Series 1 and it will, elapse, and starting 2025 is when we'll do our big push for Series 2 for our collaboration lines, for our Daniel Ashko textiles, but we've been working on Series 2 almost since 2021. Even though the company for Series 1 started in 2020, because we understood that the process and methodology behind getting the artisans, the individuals, the fibers, the composition, making world records requires years of effort and thought. So we have already been securing what is the next exclusive fiber, setting up the line of production to create our own textiles. Daniel Ashko Textiles came out of a need to create the fabric for Series 2, which started very soon after really seriously planning Series 1, because Daniel Ashko was never about the world's finest boxers. That's more of our proof to the world, our concept car saying, hey, we can create things that you've never seen and bespoke ensembles that have never been elevated to this level. Now watch us continue and do this again, high, onwards, upwards, bring it to grander scales. And what we find that we cannot not only cannot, but would not honor its legacy by attempting to create in-house entirely, such as the world's finest suit. I trust multi-generational tailors in Savile Row that have their own clientele, their own business, their own knowledge to craft that suit far better than me. But for people like Shane, who created Leisure Society, who is an expert in the world of sunglasses, and we could collaborate, we could add to the design elements, add to the presentation, add to the marble box, where it's a complementary synergy. That's what becomes a collaboration. What we can honor and create in-house, that's what becomes an apparel production.
For sure. That kind of leads back to honestly the textile part. Like you can't find those textiles per se. You can find specific elements, right? Like gold thread, right? But you're
Yes,
not those people making that gold thread are not creating like the full fabric of like vicuña and et cetera. So you're like the matchmaker and the visionary between creating the components of that and going to the artisans to help craft that, right?
that's
Is
exactly it.
again what I'm hearing. So I want to one touch back on. So series one is $10,000, right?
Yes.
It's not just for the boxers. The boxers aren't just 10,000. The whole series
The
is
full ensemble,
$10,000.
yes.
Yeah. Is Series 2, Series 3, the next evolution of these series, going to cost the same, or the price point's going to be different dependent on, the materials and what is in it? Um,
Yeah.
is that how you plan on? Is
It's
like,
very much on point. And one of the things we try to reinvest as much possible into the actual quality of the raw materials, the construction. So series two is anticipated to be 15,000 for 15 productions. Series three, 20,000 for 20 productions. We like the parity between pricing and exclusivity. It's very clear what you are getting. And also when you look at things like the world's finest boxers previously, which were a wonderful, I'd say, foyer into what gave us early inspiration, but they were $1,000 cashmere boxers. It came in a wooden box, which is wonderful, but it is not, it's small, medium, large. It's ready to wear. It's almost closer to novelty for a high-end shopper than a true experience for an ultra high net worth connoisseur. We said, oh, well, this is great. It's good proof of concept that people are willing to buy upgraded versions of what they haven't seen before. But this is still a product, not an experience. So Series 1, that 10,000 not just gets you to be a Series 1 owner, not just gets you the coffee table, the marble box and all that, but what it additionally gives you is being able to go to F1 and being able to be an owner alongside the drivers. Similarly, Series 2, which will not only come with the polo, marble box, platinum cufflinks, the full ensemble, but we're also planning a similar type of experience, even bigger and grander, of course, for 2 and 3 and beyond.
one more quick question around, we already know about the future plans, but really membership. I want to get, so if we could go back to membership, like you start with 10 of Series 1, then 15, then 20 in Series 3. Like, is there a limit on membership?
So not all members have to be Series 1 owners, Series 2 owners. The overall goal is to make the membership exclusive to those who are interested within our productions, who are attempting to curate their own bespoke collection with our productions. But we actually have a very unique, almost you could call it secret feature, where existing owners, so for example, Series 1 owners, which is currently constructed or crafted out of vicuña, when they become potential Series 2 or Series 3 owners, when we release those productions, owners of previous series will be able to have exclusive opportunities to buy that production in an even more private version that's crafted out of our new materials. So while Series 1, the classic Vicuña version, is limited to 10 productions, there can only be a maximal of 10, if not even fewer quantities constructed as we produce our 13.2 micron, our 10.8 micron fiber, beyond and beyond. So our initial productions, they are truly this work of art as we've created it. But it's this invest in us, then we invest back in you. As these owners have kind of proven their loyalty, their exclusivity, their connoisseurship, we allow them to now say, you know what, I want platinum buttons with this now silver fabric that honors this original legacy and elevates it even further. So our members aren't mandated to purchase the series that is available at the time of membership. We have a larger group of members than we do just the owners, because we have our affiliated lifestyles, we have future textiles, royal partnerships, but it is still certainly an exclusive club for those who want to experience the best in the world.
Perfect. Daniel Levshitz, thank you so much for your time. I feel like we got some really interesting information here, especially about what's coming, Series 2, Series 3. I'm super excited to see more details on that. But congratulations on Daniel Ashley and company. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, the manual. Thank you for having me, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.